All right, guys, it's time for week 18 NHL Power Rankings. Sorry we weren't with you last week. I was off, and so we were unable to do week 17. So this week, last week's rankings are week 16. So there are a few big movements this week, but yeah, we'll jump straight into it anyway. Jaden, I got the Canucks staying at 32.
All right. They're my 31. They move up.
Oh, he's made a change.
Yeah, they're on the rise, boys.
Who we got? Blues, right? Like, I'm interested. I'm interested to see who you've made 32. But yeah, for me, no change. Canucks just like they've just been ordinary. I think they had two wins for the entirety of January. It's just it's looking horrible. They're literally last in the NHL by 7 points, I think, at the moment. So yeah, look, they're unless something happens, they're going to be the favourites for that number one pick. Let's just say that.
Yeah, well, at this point, you're just hoping as a Vancouver fan that you don't get lotteried. That's pretty much how you're looking at it. But my 32, New York Rangers.
Oh,
Yeah,
look, I don't blame you. I'm pretty sure they only had the three wins in January, man. So, whew.
yeah. Well, they've lost their last four. They've just been really poor. Obviously now no longer without Panarin as well. Um, but it's just like they had a saving grace during the season where goaltending would save them some wins or save them some points, but they're just getting nothing now. And it's very close to Vancouver. Like these two teams, and even probably Team 30 all hold hand in hand. Could be 32.
Yeah, yeah, and let's be honest, Jaden, you put them at 32 just purely for that trade return for Artemi.
Look, I understand it if it was like I'm not going anywhere but the Kings, and you kind of got your hand forced. I kind of understand it, but
It's
yeah,
a terrible trade return. Yeah, look, if he did handcuff them, that's really shit from Panarin, but oh, that return is
oh, you,
absolutely
you say it's
atrocious.
shit from Panarin, but they've thrown some of their a lot of their
Oh, oh,
players under the bus while he's been there. So
look,
at the
the way
end of
they
the day,
treated
it's a business deal. It's a business. So
the way they treated Truba, the way they treated Kreider, like no, the Rangers deserve what they get, but yeah, like it's rough having a player as good as Panarin net you that return because that
yeah,
is hard.
yeah, it should have been a lot more. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. All right, 30 for me. I have St. Louis Blues. I almost feel like unless something drastic changes, these three are almost locked in as bottom three.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, hard
yeah,
lock, hard locks.
yeah, I think St. Louis outside of they won the first two games in January, and outside of that, I think they only won one or two more after that. So, um, they're just yeah, like these three are out and out bottom three in the NHL. They are terrible. Um, I don't see the St. Louis Blues doing anything to come back from this. So yeah, I suspect they will be here the rest of the season.
Yeah, should be sellers. Um, Alrighty, on to 29. Calgary Flames. Not moving for me.
Ooh. Where did I have them? 26. They
And
moved up one for me.
yeah, in regards to like standings, well, they're 29 as well in the standings, but yeah, like 4-4-2 in their last 10. They were on a run at one point. They move up one position for you, but I'm still not sold on them. Like they're weak this week. If we just have a look, not many teams played this week. In regards to just this week, like many games anyway.
Yeah.
But their two games were Toronto and Oilers, and getting one of those wins. Um, uh, Oilers were on the back to back, and they weren't, so that helps them with getting that win in regards to that. But ultimately, yeah, like I liked him for a brief period, but then yeah, I haven't for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you really didn't like them to start the year. You were really critical on their gameplay, their game style when they were really, really poor, which, you know, all in all, they were playing really, really badly. But Yeah, it's just unfortunate because they did look to turn that around a little bit, but has not kept up. All right, 29 for me. I have the LA Kings.
All right, 26.
Oh, just a bit of a swapperoo there, eh?
Yep.
Um, look, the Kings for me are just horrid at the moment. And they would be a lot worse they if they weren't such OT merchants. Like just this week alone, they lose all three games. They lose 2-3 in OT to Carolina, 2-4 to Kraken, and 1-4 to the Vegas Golden Knights. You could argue that that's a difficult-ish week, but Vegas aren't in great form at the moment. Kraken are so-so. Um, but the thing for me is they've only got 14 regulation wins for this season. They have 14 overtime losses. They're 23 and 33 in the win loss column. They're just, yeah, like if it wasn't for those OT points,
Look,
they would
yeah.
be,
They get
yeah,
OT points because they can defend. They have the same problem as St. Louis, Vancouver, New Jersey, Rangers, Calgary. They can't
cracking.
score. They can't score.
Yep,
And that's the problem. They bring in Panarin to help that. We'll see how that plays out over after the Olympic break. Um,
yep.
but that has been their biggest issue. Like their defense is good. Um, like in regards to goals conceding wise, I think it's basically at the top of the league, like fifth,
Is it,
fifth in the league in goals
isn't
against.
it funny though? Isn't it funny? Like I'll say this for the Kings. They go out and they get Panarin. They're buyers. No one in the Kings position, if the Kings were in the East, they would be sellers. They would be sellers, sellers, sellers. They would be going into the thing going, yeah, we're done. Season's done. It's over. But because they're in the West, they are 3 points back of a playoff spot, and they go out and get Artemi Panarin, who,
Granted, I think they're extending him, so it's like
yeah,
it's not a
like,
rental, but I understand what you're
but
saying.
But the thing is at the moment it's a rental. Like they
Yeah.
haven't extended him. But yeah, like to me, it's wild that the Kings are are literally buyers at this stage. And yeah, for me, they're dog shit.
All
Panarin
right.
might change that.
All right. On to 28. Winnipeg.
Yes, they are my 27.
Another team, kind of like Calgary. They went on a little run. Thought something might special happen, but all in all, no. Lost both games this week. Dallas, Montreal, Dallas game in OT. So it's good, like two hard teams to come up against. Taking one to OT, not getting the extra point. So they haven't been like the worst, but they are 3-4-3 in their last 10. Uh, there's not much that's been going well for Winnipeg this season. So interested to see how much if they're sellers, if they just retain what they got. Um, but yeah, it's almost season done with how that division's gone as well. So
Yeah. As a Jets fan, I think you don't want them to do well for the rest of the season. You want them to be down this end. You want them to get a high draft pick and see what they can make out of that. All right, 28 for me. I got the Chicago Blackhawks.
alrighty, yeah, they're my 27.
Oh, I was like,
No,
is this
I
going to be
had
some
to I had to
big,
open my thing. That's
big reveal here? Jeez. Yeah, look, I mean, what are you going to say about Chicago? Um, they get a 6-3 win against the Sharks, even though they only had 17 shots, and they get blanked by Columbus this week. I mean, it's so for them. I'm not surprised. I don't hate where they're at. I feel like they're moving in the right direction as a franchise. This is where they should be. I don't think anyone should be angry with what the Chicago Blackhawks are doing at the moment. You're seeing good things from the young players, and that's all that matters.
alrighty. On to 25. New Jersey Devils.
Yep,
Um,
same here.
and yeah, basically like LA, all that can't score.
Mhm.
5-on-5 is a big problem for this team, and that's pretty much all what you can say about it. Not enough trades happened from GM side as well to be buyers like LA to
Mhm.
flip the season. Um, and yeah, so we'll have to see if Fitzy keeps his role, if Keith keeps his role, um, because that's 2 out of 3 seasons that no playoffs when they're expected to make playoffs. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
ultimately they can't score, and that's a big problem.
Yep. Yeah, it's not good.
And
All
I think
right.
I think a lot of New Jersey fans are over Jack Hughes, but every fan base is melting away when they go bad. Point fingers,
Yeah.
but yeah, Jack Hughes has not been great as of late.
No. All right. 24 for me. I've got the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yep, same.
All right. Well, look, I sort of I saw this coming. I did expect the Flyers to completely sort of drop off on the season. I didn't think they were their defense wasn't going to hold up for the entirety of the season. Let's just say that. And they get a 4-2 win against the Washington Capitals and a 2-1 OT loss to the Sens. But as we said, this is a combination of last week and this week, hence the sort of drop. They are 3-4-3 in the last 10, but prior to that, they've also been quite poor. They're moving quite far down the standings. They were second or third in the Metro for quite some time, and now they're literally 8 points out of the third spot in the Metro. So it's been a little bit of a fall from grace, but it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I think that's just where they're at. And I think they kind of need a few extra draft picks and get a couple extra players in to complement that side before they're actually contenders again.
Alrighty, on to 23. Team sliding down a bit. Nashville Predators.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've gotten there too. That surprised me. I thought I had them a little higher, but no, 23.
Yeah, so 3-4-3 in the last 10. They beat St. Louis. They go to OT against the Wild. On the back to back, they lose against Washington. So 3 games, one of the busiest schedules for this week. But they've just been on a slide for probably about a month, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less than a month, but it's just yeah, not been the best. I'm interested to see if they start becoming sellers. Obviously, they got GM retiring, um, all those type of shenanigans going on as well. So we'll have to see what happens in regards to managerial side for Nashville, and then how that plays out on the vision on is it rebuild, is it retool, or whatnot.
Yeah. The tough part for them is when you're in the West and you're only 4 points out of a playoff spot. Like
Yeah,
anything's possible. 4 points isn't that great. I know we're getting to the end of the season, but the last quarter of it, but 4 points, you can make that up. And I think that's what is hurting some of these West teams. Like they think that they're a chance, even though, I wouldn't say Nashville Kings, they're not going to do anything if they make the playoffs, but they're close enough. And that's all a franchise needs is to be close enough and they want to go for it. All right, I have the San Jose Sharks
yep,
at 22. Speaking of another Western team that might want to go for it, look, this is probably a team that I don't mind them going for it. They're young, they're exciting. It's really good for the franchise. It's good for their players. Just sort of getting close. As great as it would be for them to get another high draft pick into the franchise, they don't really need it. They're stacked with talent. Um, so, I don't mind this drop off that they've had that's pushed them back down, but also I really wouldn't mind seeing these guys either just sneak into the playoffs or at least be competitive for the rest of the season. I'd probably prefer them be competitive than sort of fall back and then end up in like a top five draft pick. I just don't think that they need those draft picks at the moment. I think the the defense is going to be addressed through either free agency or a trade with prospects and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, I want to see this young team just go as hard as they can.
yeah. All right, another team sliding down a bit for me. It's like they kind of move up, but it's kind of sliding as well at the same time. Washington Capitals.
Ooh, they're 17 for me. Hey, it's funny though because we both moved up 3 spots on them. So
Yeah, it's kind of a like you're just beating people that have been poor.
yeah,
Like that's all it is. So 5-4-1 in the last 10. It's kind of underwhelming for how they have been throughout some points of the season. But for
Mhm.
this week, 2 out of 3 wins. Islanders win back to back. They lose to Philly. I'm sure if we looked, Philly weren't on a back to back. They weren't. And then they go on first Nashville and then beat Nashville, who we just spoke about. So ultimately, they've been all right. They've been basically 500. I feel like for a month to 2 months now. Like they're kind of in that just like lull.
Mm.
And that's kind of how I've seen them. So I think around the 20 mark is pretty much spot on for how they've been playing for the last month or so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what to make of them. That's all I can say at this point. Um, all right, 21 for me. I have the Florida Panthers.
Ooh, 20. Oh yes, that's my next one.
Oh, look, the three-peat is in heavy danger here, my friend. Um, they're gonna have to put together one hell of a run if they're gonna make this because, yeah, look, tough week, 3-5 loss against Buffalo Sabres, 5-4 shootout win against Boston Bruins, and on the back-to-back, a 6-1 loss against Tampa Bay Lightning. And, oh, let me have a look. Tampa was not on a back-to-back. But yeah, it's just time's running out for this Florida team. Um, they're 8 points back of a playoff spot. Um, and there's only what 25 games left to go. So it's not looking good for them at the moment. I'll never sort of put them out, but at the moment they're gonna need a miracle after this Olympic break. That's for sure.
Mm. All right, on to 19 for me, Edmonton.
Yeah, they're my 20.
And this is a team I pretty much throw in like the Washington category of just being like kind of 500 for a while now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're 5-5 in the last 10. They've lost the last three. Like they're weak. They lose the Toronto and Calgary games. Calgary being on the back to back. Um, so some Canadian shame there as well to go along with it. um, so yeah, it's I'm not impressed with them. They kind of beat the teams they should, and then they lose against the teams they should and sometimes shouldn't. I feel like so. And look, too many holes. Um, and too much just relying on a few players to like really lift this team out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like I think that they're going to do playoffs anyway, and they'll probably do some crazy thing in the playoffs because teams play differently and won't
Yeah.
expose them defensively like teams should.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is skate at them. But when it goes to playoffs, people just dump and chase. It's
Oh,
they're
look,
scared. They're scared to chase skate. So
and
yeah,
And that's the hard thing to sort of marry up with this Edmonton team is that they've got an easy run to the playoffs. They're in the West, they're in the Pacific especially. Um, there's 64 points. They, that they are literally fifth in the wild card race in the East, but they're second in the Pacific. So yeah, look, I don't like how they're playing. I agree with you, but by the time it gets to playoffs, who knows what they're gonna do? Who knows what McDavid's gonna do? The frustrating thing for me is that they've just got such an easy run in there. They
yeah,
just all they have to do is just cruise along and make the playoffs because they're in such a shit conference and shit division. So yeah, like we'll see what happens, but at the moment they're not playing well.
yeah,
Uh All right, look, Canadian team that I wasn't sure to have in front of them or not, but the Toronto Maple Leafs.
yeah. They're 18,
Oh, look, dude, I was a bit worried putting the Leafs ahead of the Oilers, but
but then they
look, they
beat them.
did beat
So
they
no.
justified, right? They beat them. It's justified. Um, I also don't know what to make of the Leafs because they seem to go on a bit of a run where they get a streak together. They win 3, 4 games, and then they go and lose 3, 4 games. Um, so it's hard to make whether this team's actually any good or not. They beat the Calgary Flames 4-2. And then they go and beat the Edmonton Oilers 5-2 on a back-to-back. And that's their week. They have won their last three. They are 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10. Hence, what I mean by they win 3 or 4 games, but they lost the previous 3 or 4 before that. They're still 6 points out of a playoff spot. I can't see them making it personally. Um, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much their season. They
Mm.
show glimpses of them being a decent team, and then they look absolutely horrid. There's no in between with these guys.
All right, on to my 17 outside the top 16, falling out to Vegas.
Oh yes, they're 18 for me as well.
And look, lose to Anaheim by a goal because it's always a goal. Um, they beat Vancouver on a back to back, beat LA. LA were on a back to back. So that was a fair scheduling in that sense there. In regards to their last 10, they are 3-5-2 in the last 10. And look, they got less wins than New Jersey Devils. Like that's how this team has operated. But like I said, they're always a goal in it. I still expect them to be really strong in the playoffs. It's just been the team that I've just had locked in all season. And yeah, but they've got some major issues. They needed to get some shutouts. Just go on a string of just keeping some low scoring games. They kept Vancouver to 2 goals, LA to 1. Easy opponents kind of need to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, look, they're literally 20th in the league for wins. So
Yeah.
just just put it out there on that. But yeah, I agree with you. All right, top 16 for me. To start it off, I have the Seattle Kraken.
All right.
I
It's
feel
the
a bit
same.
I feel a bit strange having the Kraken here, to be honest with you. Um, I know they're in a playoff spot, but again, it's the Pacific. They have played a bit better, but they are very susceptible of going on big, big ups and big downs. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they keep this going. But this week they lost 4-2 to the Anaheim Ducks, and then on back to back to the LA Kings, they win 4-2. So go figure. Um, yeah, look, they've been a lot better as of late. 6-4-0 in their last 10. Like I said, they are in a playoff spot, but that's really only because they're in the Pacific. They're 17th in the whole league. Um, the question is can they maintain it? They haven't been able to score very well, but their defense has been fantastic.
Yeah. I,
Um,
w- I would say on that their wins in this 6-4, they're scoring.
mhm,
4 goals against New Jersey. So 4 goals, 5 goals, 5 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals in the wins.
yeah,
Of
yeah,
recent
they've
and four
started to
goals. So
score.
so so they're starting the score. They're solving the scoring problem, which the other teams below have not. So
Mhm,
that's good signs. Good signs. All
yeah,
right. Uh, on to 15, Ottawa. All right. You can't hear me? Nah, he's lost me. All right. It's fine. We'll
I'm just
keep.
having a little technical difficulty here. I think my headphones have just given out.
That's right. I'll keep going. Um, so I got Ottawa at 15, and
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I can be here the whole time. Hello.
Fuck's sake.
All right. Anyway, I'll continue on with Ottawa. And so Ottawa at 15, like Seattle, been going on a little bit of a run, getting it back. I'm not convinced they will stay here for the rest of the season, but 3 games this week, beat Pittsburgh on a back-to-back, lose to Carolina by a goal, and then beat Philly in OT. Good thing about this week, they keep Pittsburgh to 16 shots, Carolina 19, and then Philly to 16 shots. So all 3 games under 20 shots. Kind of should have probably got all wins, but it is what it is. And no, they've been doing all right, but we'll have to see how they come back out of it in the next week. But I don't expect them to finish in the top 16. But are you back, Nick? Oh, I can't hear you now.
Hang on.
There you
Can you
go.
hear me now?
There you
Yep.
go.
Yeah, sorry, my headphones just cut out a little bit there, so my apologies on that one.
But but
All
yes, that was
right.
Ottawa, and we have 15-15. So all right, good
Lovely.
14.
Let's go. All right. Talking about another team that's looking on the up and up. Anaheim Ducks at 14 for me.
Same.
Oh, look at that, hey.
Yeah, the same top 16, and so far the same bottom three.
Hey, look, we'll take some similarities. Yeah, look, 8-0 in their last 10. They looked very, very horrible there for a little while. But they have really sort of turned it back on, which is good to see. 4-3 win against Golden Knights, 4-2 win against Seattle Kraken to end before the break. Um, the question for me now is this the real Ducks, or are they going to slip back into that slide? I think this is the real Ducks. I've quite enjoyed the Ducks this season. I just I I honestly I want to see them make the playoffs. I think it's their year. I think it's time for them to show that their rebuild's over, and they're back to being a playoff team. So I'm hoping that they keep this form up.
Yep. All right, on to 13. Not moving for me, the Islanders.
Yeah, I have them at 13 as well, but they do move down for me.
So they lose to Washington, beat Pittsburgh in OT on the back-to-back, and then they beat New Jersey. Um, Pretty easier games, all division rivals, so it's always hard against division rivals, especially in the Metro. Um, but the New Jersey game's an easy one. I would have liked to see them pick up the Washington game, and I wouldn't have minded them losing the Pittsburgh game, but they ended up getting the pretty much the result you'd expect. They have been, honestly, I feel like a little bit on a slide in regards to just form
Mhm.
on ice. They are 6-4 in the last 10, so they're doing well there. They're still like 11th in the league, and so on. So they're still doing really well, but I feel like they've just slid just a little bit. So I want to see how they go after this Olympic break, if they can maintain this, or if this little slide that we've seen is going to continue or not. But yeah, 13
Mm.
seems like the right spot.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you there. All right, on to 12. Look, I am extremely happy to see this team here. It's the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Ooh, top 10 at number 9.
Oof, he's gone hard on him. Look, I'm with you on that. I'm so happy to see these guys going again because I've been extremely critical on these guys throughout the season. They've just been really poor, from what I expected. However, they've really managed to turn it around over the past few weeks. So exciting stuff from them. The big question is can they crack this really tough Eastern Conference? It's not just the Metro that they've got to watch out for. Um, they get a 3-0 win against New Jersey Devils and a 4-0 win on a back-to-back against Chicago. Thing you can say there is probably two weaker teams, something I didn't
Yeah,
think I'd say.
that's
New
why they're
Jersey
not higher
Devils.
for me. Is their last like 10-15 games have been pretty weak.
Yes,
And that's
correct.
why they're, even though they're 9-1-0, won the last seven. That's why they're
Yeah.
not higher.
Yeah.
That for myself and Nick included.
Yeah, correct. They have beaten some easy teams, some teams that you would expect them to beat. But again, that's what you need to do to make the playoffs. And they've done that. So let's see if they can continue that form.
All right, on to my 12. This is a disappointing little slide, this one for me. Detroit.
Yeah, they're 11 for me.
And yeah, like 5-3-2 in their last 10. Not horrible, but it's just been a bit of a slide that we've seen. It's crazy that, they win against Colorado this week, and we're calling it a slide. It's kind of
Yeah.
how the season's flipped a bit. But and then they lose to Utah. But yeah, I just haven't liked, what I've seen a little bit. I haven't liked some of the opponents that they've lost against as of recently either. And
Yeah.
it it's little worrying. Hopefully, it's just like, you know putting on the the brakes a bit for playoffs. But before this win against Colorado, that 2-0, they got shut out by them 5-0, which kind of balances out. They lose to the Kings. They go to shootout against the Caps. Only real good win in regulation that I see is against the Sharks, and that was a while ago. And and the Jets. So they're not beating opponents in regulation that I would like to see. That's my concern.
Yeah. And the other thing is they're seventh in the NHL, and in the top 16, they're the only team with a negative goal difference. So a little bit worrying on that front, considering they are one of the higher ranked teams at the moment. But they're still doing well. They've put points on the board, so I've got faith they can turn it around. All right, top 10. Let's get the top 10 started and let's do something a little different that we haven't seen at all this season. Colorado Avalanche at number 10.
Yeah, they're my 10.
I just, I felt dirty. I really did. I'm sorry, Avs fans. I felt so dirty putting them here. But I had to do it. It's been pretty poor. I believe they're 6-7-1 in their last 14 games. And considering they only had two regulation losses before that, they had 14 games ago, they had two regulation losses. They've now got nine. Um, they seem to get beaten 7-3, 7-3, 7-3 quite regularly. They've lost to, I think, three teams by that score in the last 14 games as well. It's just, yeah, it's a blip. I still think they're extremely strong. They have had some injuries and stuff like that to sort of make this make sense. I'm not concerned at all. I think they'll bounce back after the Olympics. Um, but yeah, like it's just been poor. But when you're that far ahead in the standings, you can afford to have this little drop.
Yeah. All right, on to my 11. The Utah Mammoth. Just sliding just a little bit for me.
Ooh, they're my seven.
Oh, going up for you. Like, I think they're doing all right. I think they're playing all right. They beat Detroit recently. They obviously beat Vancouver this week as well. Detroit game being the good one. Then a really hard schedule last week. So Dallas, Carolina, Florida, Tampa. Only winning the Florida game. So they're losing against teams that are, you'd probably say, are better than them. Um, and then the last wins, like Nashville, Philly, Seattle, like these lower end teams. So I'm a bit not as confident on them, even though they are 7-3 in the last 10, just because of who their wins are against and who their losses are against. But in the losses, I will say, like the Carolina and Dallas games, they were very competitive though as well. So I pretty much had them going from like 8 to 11. Like it was very close.
Yeah, yeah. Look, this definitely was a really difficult week to do, especially missing last week. But yeah, I've liked the Utah Mammoth that really difficult schedule. I didn't sort of punish them too much for it. Especially they had back to back on there as well. So um, I mean, time will tell. If they keep losing against the stronger teams, then obviously that's a worry. But that little blip, I'm not going to hold against them. Uh, Nine for me. Moving back up after some really, really worrying stats over the previous month or so of hockey, the Dallas Stars.
They're my 7.
Yeah, look, they're back on the winners' circle. I think they've won their last six, and they're 7-3-0 in their last 10. So, good signs. They're back to playing Dallas. I wasn't worried, because again, they bank the points. It's like Colorado. When you bank the points early, you can go on a really terrible run. It doesn't matter. But they seem to be back in it, although they have had a bit of a weaker draw. 4-3 OT win against the Jets and a 5-4 win against the Blues. Um,
Yeah, three of the
and
last 6 wins have been against the Blues, isn't it?
against the Blues,
Yeah.
exactly. So, yeah, a bit of an easier run, hence why I haven't sort of shot them straight up the ranks, especially after their previous 20 games, were really subpar. But it is the Dallas Stars. I still think they're ridiculously strong. I still think they're going to be stupidly good come playoffs, and a really strong team to watch out for. Um, but we'll see whether they're back to Dallas or whether this was just them benefiting from a weaker draw.
Yep. Alrighty, on to 8. So I have Buffalo.
Oh,
Uh,
this is a big one because you hate the Buffalo Sabres. Just say it to them, man. Like they've
yeah,
finally got something to be
I
happy with, and you just hate them.
yeah, they're not allowed playoffs. No, no, I have decreed they do not make playoffs. No, I do not. I want them to make playoffs, so don't let that
Mhm.
happen, Buffalo. Um,
Yeah,
this
please don't.
week they lose to Pittsburgh. Lose in OT to Tampa on a back-to-back, so very competitive there, and then they beat Florida. So all in all, pretty good week. 3 tough teams because I consider Florida a tough team. They take it to you, especially physically,
Yeah,
especially after what they did against Tampa, which is another topic in itself. But before that, losing to Montreal and then beating Kings, and then they're doing that 4-game win streak. So all in all, losing to teams that are really like probably top 10 teams and winning against pretty much everyone else. So that's why they're a top 10 team. I just have them sliding down just a little bit because I think the other teams are slightly playing a little bit better on ice. But ultimately, really good. 6-3-1 in the last 10, positive goal differential. Um, this is the year. So let's go.
yeah, yeah. Look, that's where I'm at with them. I definitely got it as this is the year, and I'm very hopeful for the Sabres. Sabres fans, you're gonna do it. This is the year they don't screw you over. You're finally gonna get playoffs, and you're no longer gonna be the longest playoff drought in the NHL. So let's go Sabres. All right, at the 8, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Ooh, that top 10 is really different. I have them at 4.
Ooh, oh, look at you.
Look at me
Yeah,
go.
look at you go. Yeah, look, I mean, extremely strong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna argue that. They've been fantastic since after the Christmas break, or New Year break. But this week lost 2-3 to Ottawa Senators, and then on the back-to-back, a 4-5 OT loss to the New York Islanders, and then a 5-2 win against the Buffalo Sabres. So, they go 500 this week. I think they're 7-3 or 7-1-2 in their last 10, which is really good. But I definitely think they've sort of benefited from a little bit of a weaker draw in the last sort of couple of weeks. I mean, 6-5 win against the Rangers, 6-2 win against Chicago, 3-2 against Canucks, 6-2 against the Oilers, 4-1 against the Calgary Flames, and then a 6-3 against the Kraken. Not one of those teams are really playoff teams, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, look, they've gone on a run. They've played better hockey than what they were, but to me, I think the benefit comes from that weaker draw.
Yeah, no,
So
they've had a
that's why I
weaker
didn't.
draw, but they've had a stronger start of the draw. The other thing I just want to point out, the Ottawa game today was like one of the first times they've lost in regulation for a long time. You have to go all the way back to Boston, like middle of last month. There's like 10 games plus ago to losing in regulation, and that's that's a 1-goal game. And then
Mm,
and that was on a back-to-back to Calgary, losing in regulation by 1 goal. Um, so they have been extremely competitive in every game. Doesn't matter who
yeah.
they're versing. That's why I'm really high on them, which is
Mm,
crazy. It feels like 2016 or something having Pittsburgh up there.
yeah. What do
Um,
you mean Crosby's dragging the Pens back to the to the Stanley Cup? Like this is not 2016, mate. Oi.
oi oi oi. All right, on to 6 for me. Minnesota Wild.
Oh yeah, they're 5 for me.
Um, Look, I think Minnesota Wild and Dallas have gotten bed together, started a little coup or something because if when they're hot, they're both hot together, and when they're cold, they're both cold together.
Yeah.
But right now they're both hot. Minnesota 8-1-1 last 10, won the last 5. Um, back in form again. Uh, I think there was I'd have to get the schedule up, but there was only one concern I had with them is for the reason I don't have them higher.
OT.
Yeah,
OT
that's
merchant.
right. It was OT. It was the OT games. It was just
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of those wins in that 8-1-1 are coming from OT wins, and
Yeah.
I consider them more draws, and then you just get lucky if you get the extra point. Like, sure,
Yeah,
sometimes your team's better 3-on-3 or whatever, but yeah, that is my concern. You know, like shootout win against Chicago, for example. OT
yeah,
losses, OT win against Detroit, etc. So that 8-1-1 could easily look like a 6, 1-2 or 1-3 or whatever it is.
yeah. Yeah, no, agreed. All right, number 6 for me, the Montreal Canadiens.
Ooh, yeah, 5.
Yeah, yeah. Look, they're looking good. There's no doubt in my mind that these guys are going to be playing playoffs again this season. Which is awesome, awesome for the franchise. 6-3-1. Yes, they are a little bit of that sort of like OT merchant. I think they've gone to OT like 19 times this season, but honestly, at this point, who hasn't? Um, yeah, I don't really have too much more to say on them. They lose 3-4 in OT against Wild because of course, 5-1 win against the Winnipeg Jets. So 3 out of 4 points. They beat the team they should beat. They get an OT loss against a really good strong side in Minnesota. They're just doing what they need to do, and they're gonna make playoffs. So
Yeah. Alrighty, on to my 3, Boston. Which it
they are my 4.
kind of feels wrong to have them here, but they are 6-1-3 in their last 10. Lost last 2 games in OT. Same amount of wins as like Buffalo and Montreal, for example. Uh, they've been just taking a long. I think they're still underrated in a lot of people's radars, honestly, on how like well they've been playing. Obviously, this week lose both games, but both games in shootout to the Florida teams in Tampa and Florida. So two hard teams to come up against, and he takes it to them both times. And then before that, it's a little bit of mixed match, but the one big setback for me is the OT loss against Rangers.
Mhm,
Um, but pretty much everything else is like Philly, Nashville, Montreal, Vegas, lose to Dallas, and then they go on another win streak. So ultimately, I think a very strong team. Only blip really seeing recently is the Rangers game, in my opinion.
but that
And that,
happens. They still get a
and that,
point.
but I still think they're extremely strong. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I still think they're really underrated. And I think that's because of standings wise, they're 10th, and that's because they just don't get OT points like a lot of other teams, like Buffalo
yeah,
don't as well. So yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, in the last 10, they've gotten 3 OT points, and they've only got 5 in the season. But
yeah,
they're the 8th spot. They're the second wild card team in the East, and yet you just said they are 10th
yeah.
in the standings, which means in the top 10, 8 teams are from the East. What do you mean?
Well, it's just Dallas. Was it Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota? That's pretty much it.
Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. Yeah. So who? Oh, the Islanders. That's right. Because the Islanders. That's really weird. The Islanders are 11th, but they're because because they're in the
Same
Metro.
point,
That's
same
right.
points, but extra game
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah, and they're in the Metro.
Yeah,
Their top 3 in the Metro, so that makes sense. But yeah, that's my point. Like, if you were Tampa right now, you're going up second wild card, supposed to be the worst team in the East, and you're coming up against the Boston Bruins, who are the 10th best team in the NHL right now. Like, yeah, it's just wild. But Boston have been unreal, as you said. So, all right, let's move on to number 2 and another stupidly strong team in the East, the Carolina Hurricanes. Poor. I mean,
what do you say?
the
8-0-2 in the last 10. They haven't really lost properly.
you don't really say anything about Carolina. I really just my whole thing with Carolina is nothing matters until the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like Carolina. I, they're either going to be first or second in the Metro every season, and it does not mean jack until the playoffs.
What
And that's really all I care about for this team.
they win all 3 games this week, like Kings, OT,
Mhm.
Ottawa, Rangers. But what's crazy to me, like I was thinking about it the other day, is like they lost Hamilton, Pesci, Burns recently to the Avs. Like that's such a
Shea,
big. they're such a big decor, and somehow they're still great defensively. Like
Yeah,
it's
they
it is
they lose
crazy.
they lose great defenders every year. I mean, Dmitry Orlov, who was only with them for a few seasons, but still he left.
Mm,
Burns, as you said, Shea has left.
mm.
How much? Like all, you could just list off defenders that have left this team, and yet they are still one of the
Yeah,
best defensive
hats
teams
off
in
to
the
the
league.
GM,
It's
hats off to the coaching. That's all I'll
it's
say.
it's it's crazy, like the way they're just able to, build around Slavin on that D core, and then just essentially anyone who comes in, they just go, "Here's the system, play it," and they just pick it up. It's insane, and if this team doesn't come away with a Stanley Cup, it's going to be a massive disappointment because they're so competitive every season. They've made several Eastern Conference finals. They just can't get over that hurdle. Maybe this is the year, but damn, the East is so strong this year. Um, it's not going to be easy for them. Like it's crazy.
Alrighty, no movement in number one for both of us. Tampa Bay Lightning, another team. What do you say? 8-1-1, last 10, won the last five. Extremely strong. Only 5 points now away from taking Colorado as number one in regards to points. Same with Carolina, two, of course, and on it. But Tampa has the same amount of games played as Colorado. They're really strong. Florida tried some games with some really bad hitting, some really bad hits behind play. Um,
hmm
to
800 and something penalty minutes this season between the two teams
but
in the four games.
yeah, having a few players like way behind play, taking out Kucherov and other players is just punching a guy while he's already on the ground. I don't know, it's a lot, but that's Florida, and
hmm
Tampa deal with it. So I think that toughens them up as well, which makes them better for playoffs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Florida's a big bad bully, but then it makes Tampa stronger. And I think
Mhm.
that's what's actually scary about it. Or win all three games. Two of them go to OT shootout. So the Boston game in shootout, Buffalo game in OT, and then they 6-1 Florida, who basically just try to bully them off the ice because they can't beat them on ice in regards
Mhm.
to playing legally. Besides that, like, there's not really been many blips. A shootout win against Chicago is really the big blip. The 8-5 loss to Columbus, I think that's just one of those games. And then other than that, it's just they're always going to shootout or OT. Really strong. They're scoring. Kucherov's insane. Goaltending's, doing all right. Defending's doing all right. I don't know where the floor is at the moment to expose them. Florida tried something by injuring their roster, but but yeah, I don't know. I think they with these two teams in Tampa and Carolina, like might just take number one for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, it's I definitely think that they can be knocked off their perch, that's for sure. Um, Especially with like Carolina, so close, Minnesota Wild sort of turning it on. Boston look really, really good. But look, Tampa aren't really putting, a foot wrong at the moment, and it's crazy considering they win back to back, and then you think, okay, Tampa lose all these players. They're done. They're gonna go to the crapper. They start the season off 2-8 or whatever it was. They were pretty poor, and you think, okay, finally they've fallen off, and now they're the best team in the league. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. What's in the water over in Florida, but this Tampa Bay team just doesn't know when to quit, and yeah, they're potentially going to be competing for another Stanley Cup, which is insane.
Yeah, yeah, that state in general has just got good hockey. Um,
hmm
but yeah, we'll leave it there. Let us know what you think. Yeah, this is basically making up also last week's power rankings as we didn't do that one as well. But yeah, we'll be back on it. Obviously, there's the Olympic break as well, so we'll be back on it after that, and then doing more power rankings. Hopefully, some more videos in regards to hockey related in the meantime. But yeah, till then, like, subscribe, comment below, and then we'll catch you later, guys.
Bye, guys.